It's getting harder and harder to keep my timeline straight. I can't remember what came first and what followed. This notebook has become a lifesaver, more like a sanity saver. If I forget things, I can look back, and I can trust only myself with what's true and what's not. It's not that the others are purposefully lying to me. They just don't know what they're saying sometimes. Thoughts are put into their heads and they start to believe them. It's hard not to. I woke up in the room that I woke up in the first time. I wasn't strapped in, at least. I tried to get up, but as soon as I lifted my head, excruciating pain came from what felt like the inside of my brain. I instinctively put my hand on my head and felt a bandage. What the fuck? I rolled off the bed onto my feet and stumbled towards the bathroom area. I looked in the mirror above the sink and saw my head was wrapped in gauze. Fear trickled down my body. What did they do? Don't worry. From what I've heard, they couldn't get in. I turned to see Cody standing in the doorway. Get in? What? Your head. This is good news. Normally, if they don't get in the first time, they won't try again. Too complicated or something. Well, that's a really... As I was saying a sarcastic remark, nausea surrounded me. My tongue started to feel real heavy, and I knew I needed to stick my head in the toilet if I didn't want a mess all over me. I made it in time and began to vomit profusely. Cody held my hair back. When I finished, he handed me a glass of water. Thank you. Yeah, it happens to all of us. I was grateful for Cody at that moment. He reminded me that humanity still existed, even in this fucked up hospital. Attention, all patients. Please report to the group therapy room. Cody gestured to me. Come on, I'll show you where it is. I was still feeling unstable, on my feet, with a pounding headache, and most likely dehydration. So Cody held me around the waist. We were the last to arrive. The chairs were placed in a circle. The room had huge windows, and once again, it was dark outside. Cody whispered in my ear, "Don't flinch and try not to get called on." I looked at him with a puzzled face. He mouthed back to me, "Trust me." I sat down in the closest available chair. Patients, please take a seat. It was the nurse who injected me earlier. It was hard not to kill her with my bare hands in that moment. The only thing that was holding me back was my excruciating headache. When I moved too quickly, I would get dizzy. A couple of people who were standing or twirling around found a chair and sat down. Thank you. Let's begin today's group. She looked around the room. I made sure not to make eye contact. Cody, Noel, stand up. They sighed, but obeyed. Noel, punch Cody in the face. What? Noel looked at Cody, apologizing with his eyes, and socked him in the jaw. I was about to scream and jump, but I remember what Cody said. Don't flinch. I grabbed the sides of my chair for stability and looked in the direction of Noel and Cody, but focused on the wall behind them so I wouldn't see what's going to happen next. Again, but harder this time. Noel hesitated. Come on now, let's not waste anyone's time. Noel punched Cody again, but on the other side. Very good. You two may sit now. Noel sat down quickly. Cody, holding his face, spat some blood on the floor and went back to his seat. Nurse Maddox began looking at all 10 of us with a twisted smile. Does she get off on this shit? Does pain make her feel good? I started wondering. Again, why would they possibly need 10 skin samples from my leg? Frank. He stood up, twisting away. Even Frank had some fear in his face. Choose. Choose what? Please, Nurse Maddox, not today. Frank pleaded. Choose. Frank moaned. grabbed the man he called Bob and threw him across the room. I couldn't help but gasp. Frank was tall, but very lanky. Definitely didn't look strong. Bob was middle-aged and overweight. Frank threw him as if he were as light as a pillow. Cody eyed me to calm down, and I tried. But it was too late. I had noticed. "Ah, Miss Taylor, stand up." I did. Slowly. My legs were shaking. "Go ahead, Frank," she said with a smirk. "I'm sorry, Anna," Frank said as he walked towards me. Behind him, Bob got up from where he landed and sprinted to Frank, jumped on his back, and bit Frank between his neck and shoulder. Frank screamed, grabbed Bob off his back, and threw him again. Bob got up and attempted to pounce on Frank again. Just then, Edith got up and punched Billy in the stomach. June got up from her seat and started twirling in the corner. Cody and Noel backed their chairs up against the wall. I was still standing and decided to go against the wall as well. I looked towards Nurse Maddox, who was laughing and slapping her knee. There was screaming and shouting and punching and kicking. I looked back at the violence and saw Billy smashing Edith's head on the ground. So hard there was blood. A lot of blood. And her head no longer looked like a head. I felt bile coming up from my stomach. It was horrendous. Everyone went quiet once they noticed what was happening in the middle of the circle. Okay, thank you everyone. This has been a very productive session. You may go to the common room for recreation now. And Miss Taylor? She looked directly at me now. I turned my head to face her. I hope you learned something today. Nurse Maddox stood up and left. Cody and Noel approached me. I was paralyzed by what I had just saw. I couldn't speak or move. You did great, don't worry. Yeah, let's just go to the common room, okay? Cody attempted to comfort me. I nodded my head and let them both guide me to our next destination. Before leaving, I took one last look at Edith's body lying on the floor, surrounded by her own blood. It was motionless. We sat down and started playing cards. How can I see these cards if they don't really exist? I had so many questions, but I felt I wanted to start with an easy one. We're not positive, but we think it's one of the medications they give us when we get here that make us hallucinate objects. What medication? I don't remember getting any medication. You wouldn't. How many times have you been knocked out? And each time it happens, you don't know for exactly how long. You've been in this hospital for almost 4 years already, but only been visible to the rest of us for a couple of cycles. Cycles? It's what we call days, since, there's no sun. Cody explained, looking in the direction of the windows. Right. And how is that? Yeah, again, we don't know for certain, but we think it's another experiment, seeing how long humans can survive without sunlight. Okay, but how did they make the sun disappear? Is it another illusion? Don't know. Noel looked down at his shoes. Look, we don't have all the answers, and most of what we know is actually only assumptions and educated guesses. We just want to survive, and we've learned how to stay under the radar. Well, most of the time. He looked at Cody. What? I didn't understand. He's talking about when I jumped in front of Nurse Maddox when you were having a freak out. Oh. Yeah. And because of that, I got to punch you in the face twice. Now that I think of it, it was kind of what I wanted to do in the moment. I all thought the same thing. Did they somehow know what Noel was thinking? I had an idea. Hey, Frank, come here. I motioned with my hand. Hey, Anna, want to play pool with me? I had his happy, energetic demeanor again. Maybe later. Listen, did you ever think about hurting Bob before group today? Yeah, earlier, when he was sitting in the seat in front of the TV. It was my turn to watch the snow show, but he wasn't moving, and I wanted to take him and throw him across the room. But then I thought that was mean, so I went to talk to Sally, because she's a great listener and never interrupts. Oh shit. Cody's eyes were wide and full of dread. They can hear our thoughts? Well, yeah, but at least I get to hear theirs, Frank boasted. While pointing at his head, he walked away and played pool by himself. We sat in silence for a few moments, digesting what we had just found out. I broke the silence. Do you really think I've been here for 4 years? There's nothing to prove otherwise. What do you think happened to me during that time? What did they do to me? Noel shook his head. Not a clue. And I'm sorry to say this, but probably nothing good. I thought about all the terrible things that could be done in 4 years' time. I came to a decision. Guys, I know you've probably said this already, and I heard it a million times, but I'm getting out of here. They both chuckled. No, I'm serious. Okay, Cody humored. You're getting out? How? All we need to do is figure out how to get to the first floor. Noel perked up. We? What do you mean, we? Of course, we. Are you telling me you would rather be a lab rat for the rest of your life than die trying to escape? It sounds bad when you say it like that. She's right, man. We have nothing to lose but our shitty lives in this shitty situation. Cody motioned to the room and the people in it. Cody and Noel both nodded in agreement. Okay, so say we get to the first floor. How does that guarantee an escape? Let's start with getting to the first floor. My eyes are tired. I can barely keep them open. It's weird, because I think I just woke up from sleeping. I can't remember. Maybe I should just go to sleep for now. I'll write more when I'm rested.